I was out for a run the other day and I started panting like a dog locked in a hot car. I thought, you better pace yourself here. And what if I told you you could apply the same technique to collecting and painting wargaming miniatures? Stay tuned to find out more on today's episode of Warhammer Thoughty K I.
Warhammer Thoughty K I.
Pacing yourself when collecting wargaming miniatures, it's something I've never been good at myself. When I got back into the hobby about 4 or 5 years ago, I went out, bought a load of miniatures. I already had a load of old Eldar miniatures from when I was younger, when I was about 12 to the age of about 14, when I first got into the hobby. I had a load of Eldar miniatures, some painted, some unpainted. So I went about stripping some of the painted ones, taking the paint off them, and the whole idea was I was going to start painting them again to a higher standard than when I was younger. But in the meantime, I started looking at all the new Orc miniatures that had come out since I was last in the hobby. It had been about 18 years or something like that had passed. So the techniques they used to make the miniatures and the sculpts of the newer miniatures, they were so much better than the Orcs I remembered. And then I went out and I bought a load of Orcs, and as I was consuming more and more of the hobby, I was reading stories with Space Marines in, I was reading stories with Eldar in. So I was just getting drawn to it from army to army. I didn't know what to concentrate on, and I was buying new miniatures at a rate quicker than I could get them built and painted. That's why I think the Warhammer 40,000 Conquest magazine subscription service is a really good idea. Basically, you get the first issue's out already. You may have seen the videos I've done about it. So you get an issue every week. The way it'll actually work if you subscribe to it is you get 4 issues at the start of the month, and you get a certain amount of miniatures or paints within each issue. The first issue comes with 3 miniatures, 3 Space Marine miniatures. The second issue comes with 3 Plague Marine miniatures. The third, again, 3 more Space Marines. The fourth, 6 Poxwalkers. Now, that in total is, quick maths, 15 miniatures. So 15 miniatures in the course of the month is entirely doable. It's a miniature every 2 days, not 2 miniatures a day. It's a miniature every 2 days, so that is entirely doable for most hobbyists, especially if you've got the instructions, step-by-step instructions within the magazine to help you get them painted in a quick way. My advice to anyone thinking of starting the hobby would be to pace yourself and not overface yourself. Don't make sure your eyes aren't bigger than your belly, as you say. When that's obviously a term when talking about food. Don't order more food than you think you can eat. But it's very much similar. You can apply it to all many aspects of life. It's quite similar, where you don't want more on your plate than you can handle. The idea of painting 15 miniatures in a month is, like I said, entirely doable. The great thing about a subscription service like Warhammer 40,000 Conquest is that you're being drip fed the stuff you need, the miniatures, the paints, the glues that you need to build and create an army over time. The first issue, you get your 3 Primaris Space Marine miniatures, and you get 3 paints, so you can't even fully paint the first set of miniatures. You can paint them to this standard here. Now, that's great. They look okay from a distance. You've picked out some of the details. You've made them look better than just the plain blue plastic that they come with. And okay, you'll have to wait a week for the next issue, but that teaches you patience. That's something else that's important for the hobby. The next issue comes with 3 Death Guard Plague Marines and 1 pot of Death Guard green paint. You can't use that Death Guard green paint on these miniatures, so you're actually going to be waiting 2 weeks before you get another paint you can use on these Primaris Marines. Now, going back to patience, that's a really important part of the hobby. You're building up a collection over time. You've not even got all the paints to get your miniatures finished in the first week. But that's okay. You can keep going back to your miniatures, adding a little bit more detail each new paint you get, and each new unit you get. You can do the stages that you've done on your first lot of miniatures. So it's like you're constantly going back and doing a different job with each set of miniatures, and that keeps it fresh as well. So in the second issue, you're going to be building and painting your Death Guard, and then at the end of that, when you've got them built and painted, you can have a quick game with your 3 Primaris Marines against your 3 Death Guard. It's introducing you slowly to different parts of the hobby, which is a really important feature of the magazine, I think. You're learning each part of the hobby bit by bit, but you're not being overloaded with information, and importantly, you're not being overloaded with grey models. Or in this case, coloured plastic models. In the third issue of the magazine, you get 3 Primaris Reavers and some lead belcher paint. Now, you're going to want to bring your Primaris Reavers up to the same standard that you've got your Primaris Intercessors. With the Reavers, you're going to be working on your blacks, your blues and your golds again. But you've got this new colour, you've got silver. You're going to want to pick out any silver bits, not just on the Reavers, but on the Intercessors as well, and on the Plague Marines. This, in a small way, is introducing you to the whole idea of batch painting. Now, batch painting is working on one particular colour across numerous miniatures until you're finished with that colour. You've got it all painted across all of your miniatures. There's 9 miniatures there that might need a bit of silver. It's an important skill to learn if you want to get armies painted, whether it's in a short space of time or over the course of, say, I don't know, 20 months. It's going to be interesting for me to see how closely they stick to the whole idea of introducing different aspects to the hobby within each issue. Am I going to be right? I think I am. I think that's the way they're trying to work this magazine because as I've mentioned in a previous video, it is for new hobbyists. So you want to give the new hobbyists the skills and the confidence week after week that they need to learn to build a whole army and a collection of terrain as well. What I would have thought is that week after week you're going to be getting new rules in each issue as well. So new rules to include in your game to make the game slightly more complicated, if you like, but not overly complicated, but slightly more varied as well. So with each new issue you're getting new miniatures to build. So you've got to build them miniatures, but you've also got the previous miniatures which you might want to add a little bit more paint onto. And then you're going to be playing as well. So what this does, it keeps introducing you to different parts of the hobby, and you're going to be doing them 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you're not doing 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, anything like that. It's keeping it fresh and keeping you from, or hopefully preventing you from getting bored with it as well. So it's going to keep your interest. Now what this basically adds up to is that Games Workshop and Hatchet Partworks are helping you to learn to pace yourself in the hobby. They're teaching you to do things one thing at a time and keeping everything fresh for you so that you don't get bored. It's nice and simple. It's a good introduction to the hobby. That's what I'm thinking it's going to be anyway. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and until next time, I'll see you on the battlefield.